quarantine dream. This is kinda extreme. Wanna take one for the team, but I'm not sure what team I'm on. Hello everyone, welcome to Corona Connections Worldwide, the podcast where I check in with friends around the world to see how the global pandemic has affected them. My name is Angela Callender, I am your host, and today we are broadcasting per my Zoom background from Café du Monde, a very empty, spooky Café du Monde. If you have been following the podcast, you know I'm cycling through photos that I took in the early stages of lockdown around New Orleans when the whole city was pretty empty and spooky. Today we're going to Kazakhstan to catch up with my friend Alex. We met on a plane from Minneapolis to Washington, D.C. last summer, and we'll get into that later. A podcast about a global pandemic is inherently a little bit heavy, but I mostly keep it pretty light. I joke around with the guests, we give each other a hard time, we learn about each other's countries and stuff. But I will just briefly go on a little more serious note because I realized that the day that I met Alex was actually the last day that I saw an uncle of mine who was very ill with cancer at the time. That was August of 2019, last year. And right around this time, November 2019, he ultimately died of cancer. And of course it was sad for my family, but we've also been in the weird position of kind of knowing that we were lucky that he died when he did, because he was able to be surrounded by family, his wife and my cousins, my grandmother, and even my mom from Virginia visited him many times in the last part of his life. And knowing that if he had lived a few months longer, everyone would have been deprived of that. And knowing so many people have been deprived of that is just a really weird feeling. And it's tragic, really. And the pandemic has just taken so much from so many people. And don't really know where to go from that. But this one's for Uncle Pete, who would have never in a million years expected that I'd be hosting a podcast about a pandemic and dedicating a Kazakhstan episode to him. So here's to life keeping us all on our toes, I guess. All right. Well, thank you to my friend Alex, or how do you pronounce your name? I know that's the name that you give people who are English speakers.
Yeah. Easy
Alex.
for you.
Okay.
Alex, go ahead.
And he is joining us from Kazakhstan, which is really exciting because, as I informed him, that there was a big event here in the United States on Tuesday, which was the election. And when I went to my friend's house to watch the returns come in that night, we were like, you want to just watch the new Borat movie instead? And so that's what we did. And it was just funny to me that
I can say yakshimash.
Yakshimash, thank you. And is that a real
Wawaweewa.
Wawaweewa? Yeah, I can't remember if those things were from the original movie, but I've been saying Wawaweewa all week.
Yeah.
Are either of those like actual expressions that get said there, or is that a strict Boratism?
I have no idea where he did get these phrases.
Yeah, I remember when the first movie came out, I was studying Russian in college, and my TA was this man, Sergey. He was from Russia, and he was not really amused by it at all, and he hated that in the word Borat, they use like the Russian D in place of the A. He's like, it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's always funny. And you said you did see the movie as well, and you thought it was funny.
Yeah, it's about the way how you receiving it. Like, I mean, if you receive it like in terms, oh my God, he said that. Like, like,
and of course, the butt of the jokes really, at the end of the day, is America. So,
exactly. I mean, exactly. Second part is all about America. Like.
Yeah. So Alex and I met on a plane last summer. That was sort of funny because neither of us were actually supposed to be on that plane, if I recall correctly. I had a flight from Minneapolis to Baltimore canceled, and I had to fly into DC instead, and it turned into this because my car was parked at Baltimore. I had to metro and then take the train and take an Uber, all to get to Philadelphia that night. And you were coming from out west somewhere. Was it California or was it Arizona?
Well, my initial flight was like kind of LA via Phoenix to Washington DC.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was stuck in Phoenix. It was like overnight flight, and I stuck there, spent the night, and then flew early in the morning to what city was that? Like
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, yeah. And then from Minneapolis,
like some random city in the middle of America.
Exactly, it was like shit. Like instead of a quick flight, I just did all the way around. Like and that's good. Good. I met you.
Yeah. Well, and you were going on such a big trip of the United States. Now you technically get to add one more city to the list of places that you visited.
Yeah, exactly. I've been to the airport.
And as you were saying to me when we were catching up a little bit yesterday, one of the drawbacks of the pandemic experience there in Kazakhstan is that you are so limited to your travel. So you were excited to have had the opportunity to do some traveling last year.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. That's true.
So on that note, you're based in the capital, correct? Almaty?
No, it's a post capital, so it's a previous one. Now the capital is Nur Sultan.
Okay.
Previously called Astana, but I think a year ago, or maybe a bit more, like the government, we got like a new president elected.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I know how that is.
And we named the capital after the first president of Kazakhstan.
So that person had been in power since the fall of the Soviet Union, basically?
Yeah. From the initial start, And it's not like America, every 4 years election, and you have a new president, or somehow you have a battle for being a president.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have the elections, but you know the result all the time.
Okay, and what was his name, and what is the name of the capital now?
It's Nur Sultan, and the second name is Nazarbayev.
Okay.
Probably you in Borat, he was mentioning about that.
What I recognized more from Borat was Almaty, because I'm like, oh, Alex posts a video.
Oh yeah. He was talking about Almaty quite often there, like using it.
Yeah. But Almaty in that in the movie is portrayed as this kind of podunk small town. And it looks quite different in your portrayal of the city. And I was just looking up the population. It's like 2 million people, like sort of about the size of Phoenix.
Basically, Almaty is like what our expat people who's living here and working, they calling it like a hidden gem.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that's true. If you get a good package here, you can live like a rock star.
And is that your situation? Are you still working at a school doing media stuff?
I do. Yeah, thanks to God.
And so is that where your family also lives, or did you come to the city to have better job opportunities?
No. It's my hometown. Mm-hmm. So originally, like my family also lived here, like all of them.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
So yeah.
Cool. And so what was your day-to-day life like in the city, or you do like to travel, so how often were you traveling, and before March, what did your life look like from day to day?
Well, if you're gonna say if we're gonna split the time before the lockdown and after, so before the lockdown, because we live basically close to Kyrgyzstan, which is basically a couple hours drive from me, and also you can fly somewhere, and it was okay. You could plan your trips and spend your vacation. Like last year, I went to America, so. This year, basically when the lockdown started, and we okay, that's real. It's not somewhere happening far away from us. It's not touching us. So after the lockdown, we've been locked for, I think, around couple months.
Since March, that's when it started here.
Yeah. Basically, our lockdown started in April, I believe, in the 1st or 1st of April, I think the lockdown started. So we were quite limited on going out. So you can go out to the shop or like, and you can't drive. Like, I mean, only specific people can drive, or like you need to get the permission.
Was that dependent on your job? Like if you had a job that
required? Yeah, kinda. I was kind of driving like from my place to parents' place. But basically, if police stops you, you need to have like like kind of an excuse to tell them like why you're doing that. But
did you get stopped by police? Was that like a real thing that people ran into?
I wasn't, but in the city we had like a block posts in the different places. So if you drive through them, you need to have like a valid pass or something that
like a checkpoint station or something.
Kind of a checkpoint, yeah.
Okay.
Checkpoint station, let's say, yeah. So and also on the like a perimeter of the city, we have like a block post, like a checkpoint post, but basically nobody could get out from the city and get into the city.
And is that still the case, or have the rules of the lockdown gotten a little less strict over time?
Yeah, I mean, we had like a national, like whole country quarantine, like lockdown, and then it became a bit less. So we had like kind of a quarantine time. So when you have to wear a face mask and you shouldn't be socializing too much, like, and just obey some rules, do not get into the crowded places. And also we have like, I mean, the shopping malls were closed for a long time, and quite many shops, like which are big, were closed for a long time. Then they reduced the tension, and they decided to open them only on the business days, but the weekends were closed, and so on, so on. So far, we have now like pretty much everything is operating. That seems like it's coming to another lockdown, because we got like the numbers increasing up.
Yeah,
and we have no idea, is it true, or like is it just the numbers, or like you don't know what to believe in, like.
Yeah, and was that always sort of the case? I was going to ask because I know Russia, for instance, was pretty. They didn't really want to share their information. It seemed like they were really denying it, and I was wondering what kind of the relationship between Kazakhstan and Russia is at this point, and like, are they a positive influence, like kind of whatever like Russia is like thinking and saying that influences Kazakhstan in the same way, or is there like considerable distrust given the history with Russia?
I think in terms of how we facing the COVID, like in Kazakhstan and Russia, is a bit different. We have different experiences. Because right now, I think in Russia, they're facing really tough time in terms the cases are going up rapidly. And we faced something similar like during the summertime, I think, when basically I knew people like my friends or friends of a friends, like who were like touched by COVID. And some of the deaths, like fatalities level just went up. And that was real. And at that time, like at that moment of time, every single of us, like who lives in Kazakhstan, understood that the situation is real. Like, and people like can get sick, and some people can die eventually. Not all of them, but like pretty much those who's old enough and whose immune system isn't strong enough, they are in a risk on the risk side.
Yeah.
But now we don't have, like, we know that COVID is around us, but we don't feel that every single one is getting sick, or it's somewhere around us. We just know, like, every time, like, I just read the daily news here in Kazakhstan, and basically the situation is that like yesterday we had like maybe like 500 cases. Today we have like 650. So I'm going to read up tomorrow, and I can tell you what we haven't at that time, like tomorrow. Like, I think the number is going to go up. And yeah, so.
And presumably in a place like Almaty, the risk was higher, and maybe there were stricter measures that were put in place than in more some of the countryside areas where there is not such a dense population.
What can I say, that in the countryside we have like now stricter conditions than in Almaty.
Okay.
Because what I heard, like, because I went on a bike trip yesterday to the countryside, and all restaurants were shut, so only takeaway. But you can just stay there, have chill, like, and some food and drinks. No way, it was shut. So, and other cities across the Kazakhstan, not only the cities, I think the areas like kind of like states or provinces, they've been shot like with checkpoints where they're measuring, and you have, if you want to leave that province, you have to show the kind of a negative COVID check test.
Got it. And have you been tested? Like, what is the availability of testing?
Yes, it's all available. You can test it out. I've been tested like when, like in September, so I was negative, but I think there is a bit like a pointless of testing, like, because okay, you're positive, okay, you just, I mean, if you're sick, you're sick, you just better stay at home. I mean, yeah.
And the recommendations about testing seem to change all the time too, because when it first came out, there just weren't that many tests. So it was like, well, we can't have everybody getting tested. You can really only get tested if you're symptomatic. But then it was like, but if you're symptomatic, you've already had it for like so long, like like the week-long incubation, you've already been spreading it to people in that time. And if you're symptomatic, like, not that like it does make sense to get tested at that point, but like the point of testing for me was like to prevent the spread and to catch it early and to keep people at home, maybe who don't know it. But of course I did understand the logic. And then I think when I was talking to the guys in Spain, they mentioned something that was what we experienced here, which was that you could get tested, but then they were so backed up on processing the tests that it would take maybe sometimes 2 weeks to get your results. And then how is that helpful either if you know that 2 weeks ago you tested positive?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's been kind of a hard thing to keep up with. When you went and got tested, was that just because you were curious and wanted to check, or did your work ask that you do that? Or
I'm wondering, like, how much is the test price in America? Like, if you're just curious and you want to go for a test, like, how much do you pay for that? Like,
so this has been the crazy thing. It's been free, which, as you might know,
okay.
Yeah, and it's different place to place. I'm sure it depends on insurance. I'm sure it depends on how bad it was in your state. And for whatever reason, I'm sure there's an answer. I probably should look it up since I talk about it on my podcast pretty often. But like Louisiana doesn't have like great funding for almost anything. Like we're always known for not offering very many services or anything. And we were a hot spot early on because of Mardi Gras, when so many people come to New Orleans and are in very close quarters and everything. So because of that, we had to take it very seriously very early on. And then Louisiana had one of the best testing programs in the country. And I don't know who's funding it. Like, I don't know who has provided these tests, but I got tested, I think, 3 times on my own. And they had like drive-through stations. They had at this clinic, they had mobile pop-up ones that would turn up. And it was pretty cool. And again, just not something that we're really used to as Americans. But like, and I don't even have health insurance right now. Like, that I could just go without insurance and get the test. And now I'm working on a TV show where they test us 3 times a week. Everybody on the show, we get tested Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you didn't get tested like 2 days before a time you're supposed to be on set, you can't be there. Like a girl was in a minor car accident on her way to get tested on a Friday. And so she missed her testing window and she just couldn't come to work on Monday or Tuesday because she came on Monday to get tested and then on Wednesday had her result back and was clear to come. So it's in these industries where I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it, like the sports world and the entertainment industry, that now there's all these tests available. Like we're getting tested all the time because this is where the priorities lay or whatever.
So how's the test running in your country? Like, I mean, do they like get the stick in your nose, like, and touching somewhere deep inside your brain, right?
Yeah, some people are more gentle than others when they administer the
You
test.
probably got used to it, right?
I've gotten a little used to it, and also one of the people who gave it to me early on suggested that I like breathe slowly out of my nose while it's happening, and so it probably makes for a better test too, just like putting more particles on the test, and it also both psychologically and just like I don't know, bodily, it like feels good to just like exhale slowly while the thing is going up
Right.
your nose. It's because otherwise,
Yeah.
you feel like you're suffocating on it or something. So if you're not trying to
All
breathe
right.
in, it's
All
okay.
right.
So yeah, that's the testing thing. But so yeah, and how is it working at a school? Like, and is it just what kind of school do you work at?
I'm working in the independent school.
Okay, like a private international school
Like
or
it's a
something?
international school, yeah, private one. Yep.
Okay. And so did you have to abide by the same rules as the like public schools that went back or what were the rules in terms of
We have basically the whole like educational sector. I mean, everything like whatever is happening in Kazakhstan is obeying by the rules of a local, like a city doctor, like the one who's in charge of the whole epidemiological like
Mhm.
situation within the city, the one who's like given the restrictions, setting the restrictions and giving the permissions about what and how is when operating every
Mhm.
kind of a business. So about the school educational sector, we had like a primary uh, offline education at school, and who's like older,
Mhm.
like secondary school, uni, they they doing online course. Sorry,
Online
yeah,
courses.
yeah.
With no hybrid option, like that's just the only option that they have.
Well, we have kind of like a bubble classes,
Okay, yeah.
which yeah, but they are working only till certain level. Like
Mhm.
the higher classes, they like yeah. I mean the grades, which is like from year 7, like or and higher, they doing like home education.
Got it. And then the teachers and the students who do come to school, I'm guessing there's mask requirements and that kind of thing.
Um, Basically all. I'm not sure how it's working in local schools, but they have a bit of support from the school, and they have maybe some resources from the school, like books or like I think the laptops they've been given out now. Because yeah, because for Kazakhstan that situation is pretty new. Like I mean, in terms of how to logistically
Mm-hmm.
make the whole thing working. But I
Mm-hmm.
think we screwed up a lot. The like national educational system didn't work well enough. So we had lots of issues and complaints.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of school systems are, nobody's had to do this before, right? So, like, everybody is just kind of making it up as they go. And,
Yeah.
aw, who's that? Is that your
It's
little
my cat.
your quote? Hello. My dog, I went to bring him inside before we started, and
All
he
right.
was just out chilling with my neighbor. There's 6 units in my apartment building, and
Yeah.
he's best friends with everybody. And I have one neighbor, he likes to just like sit out there. He burns incense, and he has this little garden that he planted, and he sits in his garden.
Yeah.
And Ollie was just out there at his feet, and I was calling for him, and he looked up at me and just kind of like, no, I live here now. And so I asked I'm like,
All
are you
right.
going to be out here for an hour? He's like, I will be exactly in this position in an
All right.
hour.
All
I'm like,
right.
well, I'll leave him with you then. He seems happy. And okay, so you said that with when it, yeah, excuse that brief aside about my dog.
Okay. No worries. I know you love your dog. So
I know. He doesn't get brought up enough on the podcast, honestly.
all
Um,
right.
but so yeah, you said you think that there were some mistakes made in the school, and do you mean that they shouldn't have brought people back the way that they did, and they put too many people at risk, or that people aren't learning well enough through the online schooling, or
I think the lack of planning probably. Uh, the thing is that it's like all looks very well on the paper,
mm,
the whole plan, but in the real life it didn't work well. And
yeah.
So it's like they planned very well, like I mean every single step that okay, online learning, we're gonna have like a good internet connection to every single family, like and all those things. Um, but the families weren't ready. I mean, because when you have your child at home, and it means that you basically you helping him all the time, like, and you have issues like even the Zoom was wasn't smooth enough in the beginning, like when the whole pandemic started, when it was actively starting like basically used by people, and I've heard like so many parents were kind of a paranoid of the whole situation. They were frustrated in terms that, like in the past, you just kind of that's your child, you bring him to school,
Yeah.
leave him here,
Have a
leave him
little
there.
break.
Yeah, and you just kind of see him in the end of the day at home, and he's doing his homework or whatever, like going to bed and sleeping, and the next day happening the same. But this time, um, the child, he's got like a stay at home, trying to get all the information online, and obviously he won't get that all clearly because like well we have to learn, and they I mean somebody learns well, somebody not, and the parents were quite annoyed at the whole situation, that they kind of acting as the teachers, as the mentors,
Yeah.
and they have to look after kind of they cannot go anywhere, they kind of in a bad position with work as well due to the pandemic time, and they might just lost the job. So and the child is being frustrated because he's got pressure from school, pressure from his parent, and also he's not socializing with his peers. So he's kind of he wants to go back to school, but he can't do that because at school he's kind of in his own society with his friends, having laugh, and just doing whatever he wants to. Like I mean, in terms of spending time. But now he's like have so much pressure on him because in the end he need to show the result. Like, but it's pretty difficult probably to show the result.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good summary of the way that both parents and students reacted to it. When I was still Uber driving a couple months ago, I picked up a mom and her little preschool kid who were going to school for the first time because it had just been allowed. They were doing like half the kids would come one day and half the kids would come another day, kind of like you're saying, the bubble classes. And I asked the little boy, like, "Oh, are you excited to go back to school?" And he was kind of shy. He didn't really want. I was a stranger. He didn't want to act super talkative to me. But the mom was like, "Oh, he's like acting shy now, but yesterday he was just telling me how happy he was. He was going back to school. He's gonna see his friends. He's gonna."
Yeah.
You know, the conception is that kids hate school, right? Like, teachers, this, that.
Yeah. Exactly.
But when it comes down to it, like, maybe they don't.
When it just comes down to that situation, like I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, in the beginning, like students, like pupils, they were hating the school. They were like kind of a dreaming of a like just to stay at home, get sick maybe, and stay like a day or two at home, like enjoy their time. But now it's basically the dreams came real. They now at home, like studying from home. There is no need to go anywhere. But they understood that it's not working the way how it should be working for them, and they would like to go back to school and socialize and yeah, and just communicate with others.
Yeah, the classic "be careful what you wish for" situation, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And in your role at the school, as I recall, you're not a teacher, is that right? So did you
I'm
actually
not
have
like
to
that.
deal with parents or anything like that in your role, or was that more just you relaying your colleagues' experiences?
I'm basically not dealing with parents a lot, but right now, what I can say, because I'm a media person there, so I'm preparing the content. So in the past, many events could be in a school, like assemblies or like different other events, and it could be like kind of a you do that, pass that, and like that's it. But now everything went to online because we need to show like because part of the school offline, part of the school online, and all the messages from a headmaster or like a head teacher, like different leaders, they are passing out through like a video message. So right now it's like more accent on a video format and distributing clearly the messages that should go to public or to parents. So that's like kind of a more load on that now.
Yeah, when I was reminding myself what it was that you do, I'm like, oh yeah, but he's got a lot of work. He's the media guy at the school, and now everything is like extra media oriented.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Is there any real, and I feel like the answer has to be yes, like for any school at any country in the world, but is there a sense that students are falling behind, and that this is the just basically that this is not the ideal learning situation for them?
Yeah, it's pretty much, it's tough. I think right now the students, the pupils who's going to school, not to the university, they basically acting out as students, as a mature students, like from the university, because they do not get like a teacher attention, like in the class. They have teachers through the computer, by like cell phone. So it's like the same how you talking to me, I'm talking to you, but in that case, you're a teacher, I'm a student, and you're telling me the new information, and I'm like let's say like 9 years old, or 10 years old, or like 13 years old, and I need to understand that information. But it's different comparing if you're gonna be in the classroom and you're gonna be kind of telling me, and I can feel the real presence of you, and you see that, okay, I'm stuck there, okay, I'm gonna go and help him, maybe describe and tell me in the other way or a bit more. But in this way, I'm just kind of receiving the information, trying my best to understand that what's happening. If I don't understand, I need to go into books or into my writings and get back, and like I might just kind of email you back, but again, there is no real contact. It's all about like just like in the university, I'm a professor, here's a lecture, if you listen to it carefully, you got the subject. If you didn't listen to it, it's your problem.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Like maybe there's an element of falling behind in some cases, but at the same time, an element of kids have to mature a little bit more and become a little more responsible. Yeah, that is an interesting way of looking at it. And then you had mentioned like with parents losing jobs and everything, what did the government do in terms of providing financial support to people who had lost their jobs?
You're gonna laugh a bit, like
maybe, or maybe not.
During the lockdown, because I've heard like what the money was in America for people who, for every single one, I think you got some money, right?
Yeah, there was a $1,200 stimulus. You know, within the first couple of weeks that basically anybody could get, and then from there, an extra $600 was added per week to the existing unemployment benefits.
I can tell you, here we have like a help from the government, which was valid for those who lost their jobs or who were kind of like on the like endless vacation until the situation is going to be clear enough. So we have like $100 per month.
Okay. And is that as little as it sounds like, or
that's the minimum wage. That's the minimum salary which is set by the government. So they kindly gave it to people. But what's $100? It's you can you can go to the restaurant and spend them.
In like one meal, yeah.
It's like it's impossible to survive on it, but they were kind of proudly giving it to people.
And so what did people do? Like, did people like really strive to go back to work sooner? I mean, are there people who are like really, really struggling now as a result of that?
The problem is that basically the big companies, they were still operating, and the people like who was working there, like they they were kind of on like on the salaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
But those people who were running like a cafes, for example, like a restaurant business,
Mm-hmm.
they were quite in a bad situation because all the restaurants were shut, and they were kind of only working for the like a takeaway. But basically, takeaway couldn't cover the like the rents and all the other things.
Mm-hmm.
And quite a lot of businesses, like I mean, because at the lockdown, basically every single shop was shut, and people couldn't kind of afford again to um, have the employees in this like the
Yeah.
salaries paying out.
Mm-hmm.
So they just kind of said like in terms of okay guys, sorry, we can't do anything. Like I mean, we just we're in the same situation as you are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and people went out to the like let's say endless vacation, as I mentioned. So so until the situation was clear enough. So right now we're getting back to life, but who knows? Yeah, more or less people are striving to kind of some of them not in the best situation.
Did you ever have to collect the unemployment? Like, had you technically lost the job at the school at any point, or were you not in that situation?
No, we're okay with that. I mean, in our school we're all stable.
Okay, that's good. Was there also support, even if it was small and insubstantial, provided to small businesses and that type of thing, or was it mostly given on a personal level?
I think the problem is that here we I mean our laws um, are not kind of adjusting too quickly to the situations.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a new experience for all of us. Like I mean, so nobody understood like or know how to face it and how to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, like when everything's happened, there were quite a lot of complaints and issues to resolve, and nobody knew how to make it, how to make the good solution. So they did. There were like ups and downs all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but in terms of what's happened here, honestly, I don't know. Like I think there are more downs than ups.
Mm-hmm. And
So
I'm guessing other people feel that way as well. And so have there been, I don't know if you've seen the coverage of the type of unmasked protests that people were having in different places in the United States, like, end the lockdown, we don't believe in this masking stuff. Did people ever rise up in that way in Kazakhstan, or were people pretty willing to go along with what they were being told to do?
well, to be honest, like here we quite strict on masks now.
Mm-hmm.
So you can be like get a fine for being without a mask.
Mm-hmm.
And Kazakhstan is not about kind of a warn you about like, hey, just wear the mask. We won't penalty you. Here it's like more like we like a prosecution. If you like failed, you're gonna get like a ticket. And there is no way you can go on strike or like shout it out. We kind of are like a bit like we democratic country, but you you cannot go out on the street
Still a
and
little
shout out.
authoritarian in some ways.
Yeah, like the things happen in America, like and affect the whole states.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's impossible. It's gonna be cut from the beginning.
Yeah, I think there are claims of hypocrisy that get made because like the social justice marches and like Black Lives Matter protests, and even some of the, like, I was watching the speeches from Joe Biden and Kamala
Yeah,
Harris.
yeah, yeah.
Gotta make sure I start pronouncing that right. Last night, on the radio, they're like, and they were socially distanced in cars, and I was like, I saw the footage. They were outside of their cars, and most of them were wearing masks. So I try to, and I think it does make a big difference if you're in a big group and you're wearing a mask. Like that was how I rationalized going to the protests when I did, because I looked around and it was like, okay, well, everybody here seems to be, at least attempting to keep their germs to themselves. So yeah, it's always
Yeah. But another thing that the virus won't go anywhere. Like, I mean, we have to live with that now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not gonna be kind of a, okay, wear the mask and it's gonna kind of eliminate itself, like disappear. I mean, no way. It's gonna be like, I mean, it just either we have like a antivirus, which
vaccine
is
or something.
some people believes, yeah, it's pretty scared to be injected by it. Like you have no idea what they're gonna be the consequences after.
Yeah, I want that vaccine to be heavily vetted before I get it. And the other thing I remind myself of is that like even if I wanted to be, I wouldn't be the first person getting the vaccine. Like there's a whole slew of other populations, like you were saying, the older people, the more at-risk population. So on one sense, I feel like I kind of don't even have to worry about it like, because like so many other people.
Let them die first after the vaccination. That's what you're saying.
No, it's not what I'm saying. It's not what I'm saying I think is best. I'm just like, I know that's how it's going to happen. Like, I know like I'm not the person who's going to get the vaccine first. You just try to find the like anything to make your own stress level go down. And it's like, well, I don't need to stress about whether I do or don't want to take the vaccine because it's not going to be made available to me anyway. But I mean, I hear what you're saying as well. How was it for your parents? Like, did you say you got to see them, or did they quarantine by themselves for the first part of it?
They basically quarantined. My mom is quite kind of in the group of people who doesn't believe in the coronavirus too much. She's like, it's just a regular virus. Come on, like, I mean, it's like a flu or whatever. Like, I mean, we have like been sick for all our lives. Like, I mean, every like seasonal sick.
It's not funny, but like, it's the way you're presenting it is funny to me.
Yeah. So we just like people like the post-Soviet people, they do not believe in kind of like quite a lot of things, like.
Yeah, well, or like you're saying, like I've been through some shit, man. Like I like bring on a coronavirus. Like I've seen a lot in my day, so I can understand that attitude for sure. And then sort of on that note, you already mentioned, I asked the question about Russia, but I normally towards the end ask people how on their radar the situation in the United States is and what the reactions or judgment of the situation is. But for you, I would extend that to Russia or to China or like the other like kind of major countries in your area that I realize might get more attention than the United States would.
I think, well, I haven't been watching the media coverage, but I think now all the world like stick to the United States with that elections.
Well, yeah, that's for sure. Because I was.
Yeah, it's like we have some kind of a jokes. Like, I mean, it's like about the elections that basically the jokes comes from Russia, but most of them like, okay, we don't have any other problems in Russia apart from we watching the elections in America, like, and how the heck America and Russia is connected, but.
Right. Was there, because I mean, for us, there was the whole thing like, oh, Russia helped Trump win in 2016. There was a lot of like social media and campaign influence and stuff. Is that what the understanding is considered to be there as well? Or do people in Kazakhstan and Russia think that is incorrect and just an American conspiracy theory? Or what's the framing of the situation?
We have like part of the people like up for Trump. Part of the people don't care, like basically. Some of them up for Biden. But basically, I'm going to tell you that I think in this part of the world, like, I mean, why we don't like Biden, I mean, the negative part about Biden, that he's quite old. Sometimes he's not saying the things that he wants to say. He's doing it like in a different way. And that, like what old people like have on their mind. I mean, they sometimes they cannot express clearly what they want to. So that's the thing that apart, like Trump was kind of talking directly.
Yeah.
In terms of his thoughts and vision, this guy, he's like have something in his brain, but he's saying completely different thing, and then, oh my God, I said that wrong. Like, okay, I'm gonna rephrase it.
Yeah, kind of like the two opposite ends of like how old people can express themselves, like either like saying like everything that's on their mind at all times, whether it's the right or wrong thing, or like accidentally saying the wrong thing and then having to like backtrack and try to cover up for it.
Kinda.
Was there any big reaction to the news that broke yesterday that the election had finally been called for Biden?
Well,
or
basically, I think the elections they just announced by the media that the final check is going to be in December, right? Like
that's when so I don't know how familiar you are with the Electoral College.
But when all the votes going to be counted, so like I mean,
December is when the electors from the Electoral College go and then cast their votes and make it official. Which I mean I could spend a whole other episode talking about the Electoral College, and I won't put you or the massive audience that this podcast has through that, which is a joke. It's like literally my mom and maybe one other person. Hi, Mom. So that's technically when it will become official, when the electors from the Electoral College go forward. And then in January is when Biden will actually be inaugurated. So assuming like, I don't know, people were like, oh, it's finally done. And like, I just have this thought in my head, like, it's not done yet. Like Trump has mentioned, like he's going to call for recounts. He's going to push.
Exactly. Trump is going to fight back. Like, I
really like to hope that like the things that are in place, like prevent things from going another way. But I also feel like it's been proven that like the unpredictable can happen, and this guy has done unprecedented thing after unprecedented thing. And so until Biden has taken office, and even then it's like, this was like getting Trump out of office was like an important step, like something that I really wanted to happen. But like, I don't think Biden and Harris are like the magic like solution to like every problem. And there's still a lot of things that need to get solved. And I think a worry is that people are just going to be so happy that Trump is gone that the like kind of like fight for the issues is going to die down a little bit.
It seems like it's the mood in America is like, we want anyone but not Trump.
I mean, you're not really wrong in that. And I think it's important to also say that that's the mood for a little over half of America, because as you saw in the election results, like a whole lot of people still voted for Trump. So
exactly. So, pretty much,
and that's the other important thing to remember. It's like, okay, we got quote unquote our guy. Like Biden was not my choice from like the slew of Democratic candidates. So as soon as he entered the race, it was like, okay, well, obviously that's going to be who ends up getting the nomination. But it's like, okay, so our guy's in office, but it's still a lot of people here in this country that like are Trump loyalists. And I was watching Saturday Night Live from last night, and during Weekend Update, they're like, and now he's going to be gone, and we don't ever have to hear from him again. And I'm like, on what planet? Like, he still has a Twitter. Like, he came to power during Obama's presidency by like claiming he wasn't from here, and a bunch of people jumped on that bandwagon, and those people are still on the bandwagon, and he still has his Twitter. So we're not going to not hear from him anymore. Like, all the man's done ever take up all the air in the room.
I mean, Trump is a bit like a self-made person, like, and he's, I mean, I think the being of a president is probably one of his like achievements, like tick. That's like.
Agreed. He's like, and now my business is all benefited, and it kind of sucks that they expose that I haven't paid any taxes. I guess I'll have to deal with that issue later.
Like, kinda, so
well, that's usually where I like to round out. Do you want to, I keep forgetting to ask people to do this, but I think it's okay because not everybody has a really beautiful photography Instagram like you do. But do you want to plug your Instagram work, or is there anything else that you want to shout out while you have, like I said, this incredibly massive platform?
Well, you obviously can promote me on my Instagram, so and people can subscribe and see what the real life in a country of Borat is.
Exactly. Take a look at the real Almaty, the real Kazakhstan. Alex always posts very cool videos and photos from his bike trips. You take a lot of really cool little.
Yeah, trying to be more active in that. Yeah.
And how far
Just a bit
outside
like
of
that.
the city do you go for the mountain biking that you do?
Well, yesterday it wasn't far. Like let's say like a round trip, like 60 miles,
Okay.
like 30 there, 30 back. But
Do
yeah,
you use miles
Kazakhstan is.
there, or do you use kilometers?
No, we use kilometers, but it's more clear
You
for
did me
you.
a favor.
Yeah. So you want like kind of a break your brain like in terms of calculating.
What side of the road do you drive on?
The same like in America.
Okay. And you speak Russian. You're always posting things with Russian, but is there another Kazakh language as well?
Yeah, there is like a Kazakh language, but my native language is Russian.
Okay.
So yeah, I speak Russian like
is that still the case, or is there kind of a push to like take back some of your ethnic identity and teach more Kazakh? Or
well, like we're trying to stress on Kazakh. Like I mean, the government is trying to, but let's say like 95% of the negotiations in Russian.
Yeah, it's hard to make that shift. Like when so many people speak.
Exactly. That shift should be done like in the beginning of the collapse of Soviet Union, straight from that point. But
is the Kazakh language very similar to Russian, or is it pretty distinct?
No, it's a Turkish language, like a Turkish group. So it's more like like all this like language group. Russian is Russian, like different. So yeah.
Got it. And what do you use a form of the ruble, or do you have your own separate currency?
No, we have tenge.
Tenge, okay.
I think in Borat you heard that phrase. He was saying that.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. It sounds, but it sounds like dengue, like the Russian word for money.
Yeah,
right?
dengue. Yeah, but it's T. Starts from T. Tom.
Got it.
So
as far as the travel restrictions and everything, that's like your borders are effectively closed, or are you just making a responsible decision not to travel around?
We do have, I mean, our borders are open to some countries. I mean, where we can go to, like it's like Turkey or Dubai, like United Emirates, and I think Maldives now.
Okay.
But it's only the kind of if you're gonna go by plane. But if you want to cross the border overland, it's locked. You can't go out from Kazakhstan. So it's like Kyrgyzstan, like which is next door. Even if they have open borders. Like I mean, you can come in, but we can't get out from Kazakhstan. Our people won't let us leave the country unless if you have like a special case, like your permission or like a need, like that you have like to leave the country.
And when people come in from other places, are they subjected to a quarantine of any kind, or do they just have to show that they've taken a test or something?
I think right now, like they are like they should have like a CPR test, coronavirus test, and also if they don't have it, I think they are tested here, and they put in a 2 days quarantine. And then if they're okay, like, I mean, no sign of the corona, they can go further.
Got it.
Yeah.
So when you are able to travel again, where is your first trip going to be?
I don't know, like it depends on the currency rate.
That's a good point. Was it, when you came to the United States, was it a good exchange rate, or was that a pricey trip?
It wasn't great, but now it's worse. So let's say it was bad, but now it's worse.
Yeah. And you had such like you went to the Grand Canyon. Oh, actually, we didn't say what your Instagram handle was. It's adventure_inside, right? Or is it adventurer?
Yeah. Adventurer R in the end, yeah.
Okay, adventurer_inside, and you'd have to scroll back in it, but you had some really cool stuff from like the Grand Canyon, and like you got some drone footage and stuff. I still have some
kind of pictures from America. I might post them in the recent future. Just need to go back and flashback memory.
Was that your first time that you were here?
Yeah.
And how did it compare to the way that Borat presented America?
Well,
America exceeded?
Yeah, I mean, before America, I've been to Great Britain. So that probably was my kind of a sample of what America might be look like. But my first, let's say, first meet with America was in New York.
Okay.
And New York, I found is a bit like not the best place to start with, probably.
Yeah, I guess maybe similar to when I went to India and started in Calcutta, and it was like everything about India like in my face all the time. It was like, okay, like we maybe could have like taken a little baby step into India and not like thrown ourselves right off the deep end into the most crazy
another
place.
Thing, like basically we like people who live in this part of the world, we get in America like from TV, basically from movies or TV shows, or like some TV series, like can be different ones. And over there, you only see the good part of America. only the most beautiful places, people like lifestyle.
It depends what shows you watch. You haven't seen Shameless, apparently.
well, it's and also like in a TV series, like they showing only like point A and point B, but what is between, they never show that.
Yeah.
Like but in America, if you just walking around the streets, you can see a lot of different things which are good and which are really shocking.
Okay. What were some of the things that shocked you?
Well, I've been to like San Francisco, like, and my friend, like, we're driven through Tenderloin Block, and that was like a shocking place to go through. Like, I mean, it was like lots of homeless people, drug addicted, and some mental people, like who's basically talking to the traffic light, or just discussing the life with them, like, and all these different things which you never ever see in Kazakhstan, by the way.
Is that because there's like more of a crackdown on where homeless people can assemble?
I can tell you that in the whole America, I think by statistics, you have like a 40 million people, like homeless people.
There's a large population.
In Kazakhstan, we have like a 80 million population.
Yeah, that puts things in perspective.
So by that, we don't have like so many people. Like, I mean, like probably if you're gonna come here, you will never ever face the homeless person here.
Yeah.
Maybe you might face him, but you won't even guess that he might be homeless.
Got it.
But there, you just see that you can meet it everywhere, like, and that's like the shocking thing for us, like.
Right. And especially in a place like California, like it got so expensive to live there so fast.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's happening in a lot of big cities around here. It's just that it's impossible to find.
Yeah. America is like a get rich or die trying, like just maybe in some cases it's gonna be really like that. Yeah. It's a bit different. I mean, America is it's a country of challenges.
Yeah.
And you can pop up, or you might just be on the same line all the time, or America might break you, and you're gonna go down, like, and end up on a Venice beach in the best way, maybe.
Yeah. And I think that is why someone like Kamala Harris becoming vice president is, again, even if I do have issues with her history as the attorney general of California and a lot of people who are in prison because of decisions that she made and everything, but she represents a lot of the hope and opportunity that people want to be able to see in America, that the daughter of Jamaican and Indian immigrants can go on to be the vice president of the country. And that's why people are attracted to America, and that's why people believe in America, and like it's definitely the America that like I want to be able to believe in and support.
That's pretty great, but I might disagree a bit that in terms that politicians, they can play filthy games, like, I mean, in terms, like, I mean, it's not like gonna be whatever they saying is like truth. So whatever like is politicians are saying, it might be nice, sweet for your ears, that it won't be ever usable in the real life. I mean,
yeah.
I think it's more like for the Western world, like to see the samples like that, which inspiring and kind of starting this little spark in your brain, which is going to be a flame in the future time. But there is two sides of a medal, like.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that could not be more true. Oh yeah, and then the only other question that I had about America is like how obnoxious was like anytime you told people you were from Kazakhstan, were they just like instantly quoting Borat at you? Like I feel like that probably had to.
Well, I haven't been like in a contact like with people like in terms like they were asking me where I'm from, but because by my face you can't say that I'm from Kazakhstan.
They
or
probably thought
like,
you were Mexican.
Like kinda, yeah, probably, yeah. They would never ever like guess where I'm from originally.
Yeah.
So and whenever I'm saying Kazakhstan, if people like watched Borat in the beginning,
My
like
wife.
yeah, they're probably gonna have a connection with that. If not, you're just trying to explain them where Kazakhstan is. 'Cause,
honestly, even if they've seen Borat, probably explaining to them where Kazakhstan is.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm not like offended when they say, "Oh, Borat." Like, it's like I'm not offended by that.
Oh, not like, that it's offensive, just that
the,
like I imagine it would get annoying. Like
no, other people when they they so proud to be from Kazakhstan, and when like other people like, "Oh, I've seen Borat," like and like just I know what Kazakhstan is,
yeah,
and they offended by that meaning.
okay.
But I think it depends. You need to kind of a gently fight back in terms like just tell them what Kazakhstan is and what Borat was about, like, and I just kind of give them a little bit excursion into the into the whole like the whole like picture like about Kazakhstan.
You're like an ambassador.
Like kind of just teach people like and give them a bright vision about that.
Yeah, well, cool. I hope that your appearance on the show can be part of that. At least my mom, who will probably listen at one point, will learn a little bit more about Kazakhstan.
Yeah, sure.
All righty. Well, if that is all from you, thank you so much for
no
the
worries,
conversation.
welcome.
It was great to catch up and to hear about your life and your experience, and hopefully our paths can cross again someday when travel isn't so restricted.
Yeah. That should be. Yeah, I got some places to go to America, so and I got like a 10 years valid visa, which is 9 years now. So yeah.
Well, New Orleans is always a very interesting and exciting place for people to
whole
visit.
Whole America is very unique.
Yeah, and, well, but especially New Orleans.
All right, I'm gonna note that on my list.
Alrighty. Well, thanks also for staying up till 1 a.m. with me. This is the first call that I've had to navigate a 12-hour time difference, so I'm glad you're a night owl. Get some sleep before school. It's a school night, man.
Yeah, I have to wake up like like in 5 hours.
Oh my goodness!
5 hours, 30 minutes. So
well, then you better get to bed.
That's all right. I got used to it. So
All righty. Well, have a good night. I'll catch up with you soon and let you know when it's posted.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Do svidaniya. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for joining. Please check us out on Instagram at CoronaConnectsPod and on Twitter at RonaConnectsPod. Please rate, review, subscribe on whatever platform you're listening or watching on, and I'll catch you next week.